MrTransformers96 here, it's another video review. This time we have a Hot Toys review of the Hot Toys Groot figure. So yeah, so as you can see, I do have the 2-pack, the Sideshow exclusive version from Sideshow, of course, but I'm only going to be reviewing Groot in this review. Typically with 2-packs from Hot Toys, if the characters are similar, I'll review them together. If they're different, I'll review them separate. Like with the Bruce Banner and Hulk, I reviewed those separate even though they came in a 2-pack. And with the Chitauri, however, I reviewed together because they are very similar figures, of course. So yeah, these being completely different figures, I am going to be reviewing them separate. So here you go, the box is styled just like the other boxes. It is of course bigger because it is the 2-pack. If you just buy Groot, it will be in a more similar size to the other ones though. Design of the packaging is alright. I've never been too much of a fan of this design. You got a nice picture from the movie of the characters with the G symbol wrapped around them, and then they have some sort of color scheme, this being blue. Star-Lord was purple, and I believe Gamora was green or pink or something like that. So yeah, so overall, pretty simple style packaging, nothing too fantastic, but still quite nice. So yeah, so let's get the figure out of the box. So here's Groot out of the package, but before we go into the figure, let's go over his accessories. So with the regular release version of Groot, you will get 3 hands, 2 of which are similar to the Hulk's. They are more rubberized fingers with a wire in them, so they are opposable, as well as 1 left hand that's just a relaxed palm that has the glowing effect like he does in the movie, where the little lit pieces of embers come off of his hand or whatnot. So overall, this is quite nice. Would have been neat if they could have it lit up or something, but that is completely unnecessary. Still neat though. Won't be using it to display them with, but it is nice that we have the option to do so. With the opposing hands, it's quite good. There is a wire even in the thumb, and they work much better than I expected. Like, you can really do a lot with these, do a little Spider-Man pose with them or whatnot. They don't have complete range of motion, just due to the fact that it's, rubber that's going to have some resistance in extreme poses. But for the most part, you can get them to do just about whatever. You can set them up quite nicely as the relaxed palm. They don't look strange or out of place. Like, they don't quite look relaxed or anything. You can totally do that, and you can have him doing some sort of fight. You won't get like a full fist, unfortunately. No matter what, we don't have any fists for Groot. I can't imagine many people using fists. I can't even quite picture him using a fist in the movie. So open hands are definitely going to be the better ones. He does come with an exclusive pair that comes just with the 2-pack that is more of opposed hands, which I'll show you when I go over the actual figure. But yeah, so there's the hands that you get with the regular release. Alright, so Groot comes with, of course, the standard Guardians of the Galaxy base. As you can see, it's a nice shape there. It's not the oval like we used to get, which is nice because they can kind of fit better together on the shelf. I think that they look a lot better than just the ovals, as well as you can actually have them, touching, connected, and they look pretty good, like they were meant to kind of connect and form a larger kind of display almost. So overall, I do like the shape of this base. It is just a regular plastic, but the top of it is a I don't even know what you'd call it, more of a cardboard, but a little bit better than that, I would say. I don't know, it's got some texture to it though, so if you have a figure that is typically will slip off, or you're worried that it will slip off of a regular glossy, oval base, having it on this base will be completely fine. Their feet won't slip. I typically see that with like the Mark 7. He is, his feet, they feel like they're going to slip off of that just regular stand, but if you have like the Mark 7 Iron Man on this base, it would be completely stable and you wouldn't have to worry about that. Overall, it is very nice. He does come with a pole with a clip. Does look quite good, and this base is the same size as Rocket's or Gamora's or Star-Lord's. Same size base, even though Groot is a much bigger figure and his feet are a little bigger. His feet will most likely hang off the sides a tad bit, even just standing him straight up and down. But overall, it isn't too bad. I don't display him on a base anyway, though, so he certainly doesn't need it. But it is nice that they did include it with the figure. Alright, so with the exclusive, when you buy the 2-pack, you'll get the Dancing Groot, and then when you buy the 2-pack Sideshow exclusive, you'll get the just regular potted Groot without the arms open or anything. So yeah, so overall, I'm not quite sure which if these accessories are meant to go with Groot or with Rocket. So I'm basically going to be putting this section of the video in both of my reviews because they could fit with either of them. Overall, I do like these a lot, and these were somewhat of a surprise accessory. You know, when these figures went on pre-order, these weren't items that were mentioned being included with them. A couple weeks after they went on pre-order, though, they did show this one, the Dancing Groot, just his silhouette. They didn't actually have the accessory sculpted or anything, and they said that that would be included when you buy the 2-pack. And then a couple weeks after that, they showed the just standard standing Baby Groot and said that that would be the Sideshow exclusive. So overall, and then Sideshow, if you had ordered from them already, they transferred your order into the exclusive so that you would get the exclusive item. So very odd how they ended up giving us these accessories. Overall, though, I'm super happy that they did so. They look pretty great. They're sculpted, you know, nicely. You know, for such small little accessories, they're quite well detailed. As you can see there, they look quite cute, the dancing one and posed one. I was thinking when they first originally said that we'd get this just stick one version, I was hoping that would be more of the very skinny like stick when they like are sitting in their spaceship and Rocket has the pot on his lap, and then you can see that Groot is still alive. You know, it's just his little stick and his very tiny little stick arms. I would have hoped that it was more like that, so these would be not so similar, because these are basically the same thing in two different poses for the most part. So I would have preferred that very skinny one that we saw before he's more grown up into this age of Groot, basically. But overall, I am still very happy with it. The Sideshow exclusive one isn't super necessary, and it is sold out now, so you can't get it. It's still just a nice little touch that we did get this little stick Groot. You know, nothing too special, but definitely neat. You can see his arms all around it. And then the posed one where he's dancing is, of course, what I would consider the most important one. Overall, two really nice little accessories, and they fit well with Rocket if you want him to hold him, or if you just want, here's a little size comparison, or if you just want them displayed in front of Groot, they look great as well. So they're just nice little additions for your Guardians of the Galaxy shelf in general. Here's the basic Groot head that you'll get with the standard edition of Groot when you just buy him in a single pack. As you can see, it looks quite good. It is just a very calm, you know, face. It's, you know, somewhat of a stoic look, but it does have a very calmness look about it, which I like. Typically, I like figures that have expression. However, in this case, Groot, you know, he's a very calm creature for the most part, so it is nice to get a calm, you know, just steady face, basically. Overall, the detail in it is pretty spectacular, as you can see here. There, focus. There we go. You've got some wonderful detail throughout it. They really did a fantastic job at sculpting the actual head here. Going up from the little broken pieces of like wood on his head. And his eyes and everything have a nice gloss. He looks quite sweet almost, which is, you know, definitely necessary for Groot. Overall, it does look pretty fantastic. Just have a hand to balance him. Here's how you just put it on. It isn't like a full head sculpt. It's just basically the face, the front part, and then this is the little slot where you would plug it into the actual head in order to switch the heads out. With the 2-pack edition, you do get an expressive head sculpt, which I will talk about when I go over the figure. Overall, this face sculpt is really great, and it's nice. If you just get the standard edition, you know, it's good because this head sculpt matches the personality of Groot. However, I think the Screaming one has so much more going on with it. It looks very interesting, and it's definitely an eye catcher, which is why I do prefer it on the figure, and I am going to display it with them, although this is a fine head sculpt if you do just get the standard edition of Groot. Alright, so now let's go over the figure. First, starting off with the secondary head sculpt. This is the head sculpt that's going to be exclusive to the 2-pack, and it is just his yelling, angry face. As you can see, looking wonderful. The calm one is nice because Groot is a calm character. However, when he does fight, he is quite angry and everything, so it is nice to get a representation of that. As you can see, his eyes are slightly more squinted. He's got his mouth completely open, and then more of a the eyebrow line, basically, where the bark is down further to give him that angry expression, of course. Overall, looking fantastic. It's got all the great detail that's in the original head sculpt that we already talked about, but just with an awesome expression. So overall, I love this head sculpt. It's just so interesting, and I love figures from Hot Toys that have some expression. So you know, most of the time they just give us blank stares. So it is great to get a sculpt like this where he is actually angry and yelling. I wish that they would do this more where they give us two different expressions for the face sculpts. Unfortunately, maybe in a couple years or so, that will become more common, but for now it isn't common, so it is really refreshing and just great to actually see it. And then the line where his face does go onto the head right here, it isn't, you know, super noticeable. He's got so many lines on him and everything that it's not bad. If of course he was just a regular figure, it might look quite strange if it was just, you know, a bald head that it was going on, but on a figure where it's got a lot of lines and a lot of split pieces, it doesn't matter whatsoever. Going over the actual body here, let's see, get you a better view of it. Overall, it is just quite spectacular. It's really, you know, hard to say anything else. It's got terrific detail. It actually looks like wood, and then it's painted in a completely realistic fashion. You know, you've got a very light brown mixed with dark brown with green moss. So overall, incredible. And then you've got some vines in there that are also green. Looking spectacular, I have to say. Look at all that. So much good detail in there. Really looking extremely realistic, and that was something that slightly worried me. Like, he always looked good in the pictures and everything, but I thought maybe in person he'd look more toyish and not quite so realistic, yet they managed to maintain that realistic look throughout the entire figure. And then here are the hands really fast. Here are the exclusive hands. They're posed. You could probably pull something off like this with the posed hands, but it's nice to get some that are completely solid and you don't have to worry about stressing the rubber or anything. So overall, they look great. They're just in a really angry kind of gripping, you know, which helps his scream look more natural too, so definitely like it. And then he does have these little twigs hanging off of him at all points. They're kind of everywhere. The only one that is annoying is this twig right here, right on his waist, because that's basically where the clip will go. So you've got to be careful when you do have him on his base and you want to clip the clip onto his waist, that you got to make sure that, yeah, the clip is a little bit above this branch so that you're not crushing the branch onto his body with that clip there. So you got to watch out for that. But otherwise, they all feel quite sturdy, and other than that one, they don't get in the way or anything. And then the feet, you've got, you know, these big trunk feet, looking quite good, and of course the level of detail is maintained throughout the entire body of the figure. One of the most intricately detailed figures I've seen from Hot Toys, or just in general, because typically the details usually contained to the face and hands of a figure, and then the clothing is of course detailed, but it is just cloth and it is not as impressive as an actual face sculpt would be. However, this figure takes that impressive sculpting on the face and translates it to the entire body, and every inch of the figure, it has that fantastic detail. So overall, one of the best detailed figures I've ever seen, just in general, actually. So absolutely terrific, and I love the sculpting as well as painting on this guy. Alright, so to go over articulation, now this is something that I expected to be quite hindered on this figure before I saw reviews and got it in person. I figured there wouldn't be too much articulation, that it would be great to look at, but not too great to pose. And I was pretty wrong there, I have to say. It is much better articulation than I could have really ever expected for Hot Toys to do on this guy. The head sculpt is quite nice. You've got a ball joint at the bottom of the neck that allows him to look down quite far, as well as up a pretty decent amount considering he is crunched forward. The pose that I have him in now is how I have him on my shelf, which is why I won't be moving him too much, you know, because I want to kind of keep him like this. But he is crunched forward quite a bit, so the head, the bottom of the neck ball joint is quite nice for up and down. It does do very tiny side to side, really not at all though. Then he's got another ball joint on the top of his head, which can look up, and it can, sorry, that was bottom. It can look up and down very limitedly, but it does look side to side, of course. That's how you get your side to side movement. So basically, the bottom joint of the neck does up and down, and then the top joint of the neck does side to side. So, you know, it's basically two ball joints that do what one does, but it just, you know, gives it and it's got a fairly decent range of motion on the head there. You've got ball hinge shoulders, really nothing to say. It goes in and out on a ratchet, which is quite nice and it's quite sturdy. You've got hinge swiveling elbows. The only thing that I wish was that this has quite a big piece of like kind of bark on his elbow there, connected to his forearm, and so it does stop the swivel. This is as far as you're going to get to swivel that way. This way it swivels about that far. It does depend on what pose you have him in, but that's about your limited of swivel. I wish that was filed down somewhere so you can get a much stronger swivel on there, but the hinge does hinge quite far, a little bit more than 90 degrees, which is pretty good. Then you've got the standard ball hinge wrist joints, which of course is standard on Hot Toys figures. And then if you have the posed hands on him, the hands obviously have a wire in them so they can be posed. You've got a complete ball jointed upper torso. Sorry, I'm hitting my lights here, which is great, side to side, completely up and down. So overall, you've got terrific range of motion just in the ball jointed upper torso alone. We go down here to the thighs. Overall, this was really what surprised me. I thought that there would be just about no articulation in the thighs, yet there is a pretty decent amount. You've got two big pieces of bark that are kind of covering up what should be really good articulation on the thighs, because they are ball jointed, they're ball hinge. But this piece of bark is quite soft plastic, which is nice. It can be moved, and then this piece is actually on a hinge, which can be moved up, which is wonderful. As you can see, I do have his leg bent quite far already, so it does, if you have his leg just straight out, the hinge on here really moves this up high, so it really doesn't get in the way at all. So overall, you've got just about full range of motion on the thighs there. Look at how far it moves out. It can probably go even more if I did force it, and then it goes up an incredibly far amount. So overall articulation is wonderful when it comes to the thighs there, which was an area that I expected this to be really hindered in. Then he's got ball hinge knees, can hinge quite far, and then they swivel. So that is nice. And then the ankles, just go down here. Ankles are pretty good. They're on ball joints. They've got a little bit of pivoting action to them. So that's pretty much, that's, you know, the farthest the other way, and this is the farthest that way. And then they do hinge up and down. They're basically on a ball joint there. So overall articulation on this guy is pretty superb. So just wonderful articulation, which is really surprising. I thought that he would be quite lacking in articulation. The last time that they did a figure like this that wasn't in armor and that was completely unclothed was the Jatari, and the Jatari were quite hindered on articulation, really none in the torso or anything. So I was kind of expecting somewhat of a similar style with this guy, considering he is just a sculpted figure like the Jatari. However, they did a great job with this guy and gave him full articulation, no problems whatsoever. So that is quite wonderful, and you can pull off some great looking poses. Just wish that the swivel on the elbows swiveled a little bit further in and out. They do a decent amount, but a little bit further would have really helped with some poses. Other than that, though, articulation is pretty fantastic. Alright, so as you can see, here's the Guardians of the Galaxy team all together, of course minus Drax. Although with their showing Drax at Comic-Con, there is still hope for that figure, so fingers crossed, hopefully we'll get him, and we don't have to wait till Guardians of the Galaxy 2. However, here are the Guardians that we have. As you can see, they're all in pretty great scale, I think. The two that you'd be worried about, of course, is Rocket and Groot. Rocket, however, is quite small. I think in the movie, he is a little bit smaller than that. Scroll it down so you can kind of see. Overall, when he's on Groot's shoulder, he looks a little bit bigger than he is. Possibly in the movie, they have him just in, sometimes when he's interacting with the people, he might be a little bit smaller than he actually is when he's just kind of on his own or just with the regular size characters. I'm not quite sure. Overall, though, I think that Rocket should be a little bit smaller. If he's any smaller, though, it would be really hard to articulate him and stuff, though. So overall, I think it's pretty decent, although possibly not quite accurate. Groot, however, I think is pretty decent. He's quite a bit taller than them. He is very crouched down in this position. This is a position that I'm just keeping him in this review because this is how I display him, and I want him stayed like that. But he's quite crouched down. He's got bent knee, bent thigh, with the ab crunch bent quite a bit forward and everything. So he is bent down quite a lot, and he still towers over everybody else. And If you had him straight up, he'd be way tall. In this position, though, he can fit in a D12 cabinet, if you're wondering. So a little bit bent at the thigh and knee, and you'll be all set. He's not like quite even touching the roof or anything like that. He's got a little bit more space on him anyway. So overall, he is a very tall figure. And what's crazy is that Rocket is 160, Gamora is 200, Star-Lord is 230, I believe, and then Groot is 200. So Groot is as much money as Gamora. I don't understand it. He is so well priced. So overall, this is a nice little comparison to see all the Guardians together. They're all in great scale. None of them are the same height, which is how it should be in the movie. And then if they do Drax, he should be just a tad bit taller than Star-Lord. So overall, they should all be in good scale. And it's kind of neat that the scale is not the same for anybody. They're all different sizes, so that's kind of neat. So there you go. It's a little comparison to the Guardians. So overall, I think that this Groot figure is absolutely amazing. Accessory-wise, he's quite light, but there's not much that they could have given us with him. If you buy the standard edition, I think he is pretty light. Just a couple of posable hands, one other lit up kind of relaxed palm, and then a plain face. Overall, it's enough to get you through, but it is a little bit lacking. I think the deluxe pack, when you buy both of them, coming with the extra posed hands, the extra face, and then the extra potted Groot, I think is absolutely perfect for him. I would say that most people that buy this will probably buy the 2-pack, because if you're going to get Groot, why not get Rocket? It doesn't make any sense not to. Overall, though, even if you just want the regular pack, or if you can just afford the regular pack, I would totally recommend that, because it is a fantastic figure, even without the extra faceplate and hands and everything like that. So overall, an awesome figure that is priced incredibly well. I have no idea why they did this. When it went on pre-order, I was shocked with the price that this guy was commanding. I was expecting $280 to $300 for him when the pictures came out before he went on pre-order. So to get a $200 price tag is spectacular. I don't know why. I still to this day don't have a clue as to why that's the case, unless it's just Hot Toys and Sideshow's generosity, which you don't see often, so I'm a little hesitant to actually believe that that's the case, but I don't understand why it's 200. 200 is cheaper than your average figure, and this guy is so much bigger than an average figure, comes with, you know, a fair amount of stuff, and then is super articulated, and the sculpt is absolutely amazing. So I don't understand why this guy is priced at the price that he is at. I think it's absolutely incredible though. So I would highly recommend that you get Groot, even if you don't get Rocket with him, that you just get Groot alone. He is probably going to be one of my favorite Hot Toys of the year, so we'll have to wait until the end of the year to see where he ranks in, but I would imagine it's quite high, because this figure is fantastic and at a bargain compared to Hot Toys' usual price. So overall, fantastic figure, fantastic price, and a lot of fun. And it's a great character too, so overall, it's a complete set. It's fantastic. So there you go. That's my review of the Guardians of the Galaxy Hot Toys Groot figure. Thanks so much for watching.